And good morning, ladies and gentlemen out there in Woo Nation. Coming back again for another episode of Woo Fantasy Game Day Live right here on Rotoballer's YouTube page. That is right, rotoballer.com. Go and win big in 2021 with rotoballer.com's NFL Premium Pass. That is right. Everything you need to succeed as we get into the stretch drive of the 2021 fantasy football season. We've got everything you need to succeed with rotoballer.com's NFL Premium Pass. That is exclusive rankings, premium Slack chat, DFS cheat sheets, and lineup optimizer. Everything you need to win big in 2021. That is right. Go and sign up today at rotoballer.com/radio. Promo code Woo Fantasy for that special discount at checkout. And here we are once again, ladies and gentlemen, on a Sunday morning here, coming to you live with another edition of Woo Fantasy Game Day Live. Going to be starting the show off with a little solo action today. Co-host Nick Heffley will be in here directly, wrapping things up. He is actually on a different time zone today, as he's visiting some family in Colorado today. So he's just a tad bit behind us on schedule today, but he's gonna join in with us here in just a few moments. But gosh, here we are. Week 12 Sunday action. We've all made it through the Thanksgiving games and getting absolutely stuffed with food. Coming out of that food coma that most of us were in heading into the Sunday action today. So now we're in crunch time when it comes to fantasy football season. Week 12, you've got a lot of the season long leads are going to be going through week 13, possibly week 14, depending on the format of your leagues, and playoffs starting in either week 14 or 15. Kind of just depends on how things shake out this year, depending on what your commissioner did with that extra added week of action going to week 18 this year. So definitely some things at play now. You got a lot of moving parts when it comes to fantasy football here in these last few weeks. And, a lot of us have been dealing with injuries throughout most of the season so far, and beat up, banged up lineups. I mean, you're going to have situations where you're going to have a lot of leagues, and I'm actually in several leagues right now where you're going to see a lot of teams kind of middling in that 7-4 to 5-6 range, because there's just been so much parity, a lot of teams beating up on each other, like I've mentioned. Just been kind of hard to really kind of get those win streaks going, because a lot of us have been dealing with those situations with injuries so far. But if you dial it back and go back to the Thursday games, obviously not a lot of people were kind of invested in that Chicago Bears Detroit Lions snooze fest that most of us were kind of watching and sitting through for most of that game. But yeah, David Montgomery disappointed in a good matchup. DeAndre Swift obviously gets banged up, hurt, and leaves that game early, which was disappointing for a lot of the DeAndre Swift managers that were out there. So put you in a situation when you kind of run into these Thursday games where you have players that disappoint and just don't bring that production that you were expecting to have, not meeting projections, so to speak. Put you in a situation where now we've mentioned it a lot on this show in particular, and the podcast as well, is that it puts you in a situation where you need to start swinging for the fences with your lineup decisions. You need to kind of reach for those more home run play type guys instead of really kind of going for those safe floor plays, because obviously it's kind of got you in a position where you really need to grab points, and you need to get big points. And, a lot of these guys that are going to bring those, safe floor type games are not going to put you over the top. So it really kind of puts a little bit more of a different ideology in your head when you start to look at how you're going to set up your starting lineups as we get into to the week 12 action here. So there's a lot of things at play here. So if you had some of the pieces from the Dallas game, Dak Prescott winds up performing well by the end of the game. Michael Gallup puts up a 100-yard game, even though a lot of that stuff came late, and a lot of people, might like myself in general, were very nervous about that production from Michael Gallup with both CeeDee Lamb and Amari Cooper out. He does kind of pull you through by the end of that game. The same way with Dalton Schultz. Dalton Schultz was pulling a lot of people through with that touchdown catch, even though he had another one called back earlier in the game. He does well enough to pull you through there. And then getting into the nightcap there with the Buffalo Bills, New Orleans Saints, you had Josh Allen, that offense, Dawson Knox really kind of helped propel a lot of the fantasy managers into the weekend with solid performances there. Obviously, the darling of the day was Tony Jones Jr. With both Mark Ingram and Alvin Kamara being out with injuries. There were a lot of questions. A lot of people were looking to put Tony Jones Jr. into the lineup. He absolutely disappointed people. So that's another situation where you're looking and you're going to need to kind of go a different direction with your starting lineup now. You've got Tony Jones Jr. that brought you maybe 2 fantasy points on the day. You got to make those points up somewhere else. So that changes your ideology as you look at your starting lineup as we get into the Sunday slate here with Week 12 action. So obviously the prime thing that we are here to do, as always, every single week here is to kind of help you, Woo Nation out there, with your questions and get those lineups set. So as always, send those questions in here to the Rotoballer YouTube page, Roto Superstars Twitter account, and also Rotoballer's Twitter account as well. Send those questions in to us hot and heavy. We will get to those questions now leading up to kickoff. And do not forget to like and share this on the Rotoballer YouTube page. We would greatly appreciate that as well. So without further ado, like I said, we will have the co-host of the show, Nick Heffley, joining us here in just a few moments. So we'll get the tag team approach to answering these questions here in just a little bit. But let's go ahead and kick off some of these questions and get some things fired up here for Week 12 and getting everybody set up and ready to go when it comes to the starting lineup questions. We'll start things off today with Chris Bally here, looking to know, start Kareem Hunt or Deontay Foreman, and looking at Tom Brady or looking at Taylor Heineke. Oof, that is between those questions. I think really when it boils down to it, I'm dead set on both of the answers. Obviously, we're going to go with Brady. Yeah, the matchup would indicate that he's probably going to have a down performance today, but as opposed to starting him or Heineke, you got to go with Brady. Looks like he's going to have minus Antonio Brown, who's going to be out yet again today. Looks like he's going to have all of his weapons intact and ready to go. And I think that's going to bode well for him today. Don't be shocked if he goes into that game and throws up a couple of interceptions in that game. Indianapolis Colts, they do lead the league in turnover differential, so there's a good chance that they're going to get some turnovers in that game today and probably intercept Brady once or twice in that matchup. But I think at the end of the day, the weapons that he has and how hot that offense can get at times, I think you're obviously going to be playing him over Heineke today. But the other question is, with Kareem Hunt coming back, fresh back into action today, he or Deontay Foreman, I'm going to go with Hunt. I think Hunt steps back into that role that he had previously, where he was seeing quite a bit of action, splitting time with Nick Chubb there in that backfield. It's a more favorable matchup. So especially from a PPR perspective, you're going to be looking at Kareem Hunt as a higher upside play over Deontay Foreman. Yeah, there's a report out there this morning that says Deontay Foreman's going to handle most of the carries for the Tennessee Titans today. But let's be point blank honest. Tennessee Titans offense is traveling to New England. That Patriots defense coming off a game in which they pitched a shutout on the road against the Atlanta Falcons in Atlanta a week ago. Now you're looking at a Titans offense that is devoid of talent. Let's be point blank about that. A.J. Brown now on the IR for 3 weeks. Julio Jones currently on the IR. Derrick Henry currently on the IR as well. They can't find a tight end to rub two sticks together in this offense. So you're looking at Ryan Tannehill throwing to the likes of Nick Westbrook-Akina and a guy that I pointed out on this morning show 2 weeks ago, Des Fitzpatrick. I think he's ascending, and he's become a player that you do want to roster at the end of your bench. But today's not going to be the day you want to play this man, because I think we're looking at a situation where the Patriots defense could very well put up another shutout today against that Titans offense at home. The only player on that Titans offense that I would look to even remotely have in my lineup today would be Dontrell Hilliard. And that's really only flex consideration for the chance that he might catch some passes out of that backfield. But outside of that, I do not like any Titans today. So to answer your question there, Chris, we're going with Hunt, and we're going to go with Tom Brady today for you there. So lock him in. And get ready to go there today. So going into the other questions, we got Pistol Pete, but he said, I know you don't talk about them. No, we do talk about them. Co-host Nick Heffley loves to talk about the kickers. So he needs a kicker between Badgley, Boswell, or Eagles kicker, which is Jake Elliott. And we're actually going to go with Jake Elliott. Elliott's been 14 fantasy points or more in 3 of his last 4 games. Home game against the Giants today. I like his chances to keep that string going today. So Pistol Pete, we're going to go with Jake Elliott there, the Eagles kicker. I think he's going to have another solid game today as that offense continues to look rather impressive for the Philadelphia Eagles. They're going to put him in plenty of spots to have scoring situations there. So co-host is not here yet. He would be your go-to for kicker questions. So, but obviously I do have to rank them for my rankings over at Fantasy Pros and on the Rotoballer website. And I do have Jake Elliott ranked the highest out of those 3 so far. So, Pete, we're gonna go with Badgley there today, and also as we continue to move along, he throws in the woo woo woo. There we go. We'll give you a woo there today as well, Pete. So, good luck to you there in picking up your kicker and plugging them in today. So, getting on more to questions here, we got New Life needing to know, it's a half-point PPR. Got Marquise Brown does have the quad injury, or Elijah Moore with Zach Wilson coming back today. Rather close situation here. Yes, we do have Marquise Brown with a little bit of the injury bug coming into the game today. As things stand right now, according to my rankings, I do have Elijah Moore ranked ahead of Marquise Brown going into this Sunday action here. So I did mention it earlier this morning on Twitter, answering another question that I had coming in from someone. But his question was a little bit more different. He was trying to choose between Jamar Chase, DK Metcalf, and Elijah Moore. So in that situation, we were benching Moore. But my point was, Zach Wilson coming back today. We don't know how that chemistry is going to be with Zach Wilson. The matchup is great on paper as they travel down to Houston to play the Texans. By all indications, Elijah Moore should continue this strong play that he's been on this ride the last few weeks. Corey Davis being out today obviously helps Elijah Moore. So that's where I'm kind of leaning a little bit more towards Moore here for you here in New Life. So I like Moore here. I'm a little bit kind of hesitant just because the Zach Wilson factor here. We don't know how that's going to play out because Corey Davis was Zach Wilson's guy earlier on in the season. But as we've seen, Elijah Moore's snap count has increased each and every game over the last month. So he should be in that range again today of kind of like an 85% snap percentage today. So he should be on the field quite a bit. And if he's on the field that much, you're going to see plenty of targets there today. But as you know, the other side of the coin here, we're looking at with Marquise Brown. They're playing at home against the Cleveland Browns. It's a good chance that secondary really kind of hones in on Marquise Brown in that matchup there. That's going to be their main focus. Brown with a little bit of that limitation with the injury coming in today. I think it's just going to affect him just a slight bit. So it gives me a little bit of an edge there where I will go with Elijah Moore there. So New Life, it's tough to make that call because obviously Marquise Brown is more the name when it comes to those two. But we're going to go with more of the steady production here in recent weeks and kind of avoid a little bit of that injury. I'm slightly leaning more here. Gives you a little bit more of that upside play here today. It kind of depends on what you're looking at with your lineup and where you're at score wise coming out of those Thursday matchups there too as well. So Garrett W coming in needing to know Javonte Williams or T Higgins. So obviously the talk on Twitter the last few days has been we're looking at yet again, this is another breakout week for Javonte Williams. So you're putting a lot of pressure on him here in that situation. So yes, I think the matchup lines up perfect for Javonte Williams today. And we saw, before the bye at the end of that game, going back to week 10, Melvin Gordon, drops a fumble that ultimately cost him a game. How will that factor into this game here as we get into week 12? I like we're going to see a 50-50 split between those two in that backfield yet again today. You can go with the breakout game with Javonte Williams because it's a great matchup. Los Angeles Chargers defensive, opposing running backs on the season have been one of the worst in fantasy. But here in the last few weeks, they've actually improved to a degree. They're kind of more middle of the road over the last month, giving up 23.33 points to running backs on the ground, giving up 5 touchdowns, though, in that time span. Pretty good for the Broncos running backs here. I like Melvin Gordon more than Javonte Williams today. It's that revenge game narrative, if you want to go that direction. But I'm going to give Javonte Williams the edge here over T. Higgins for you, Garrett, because T. Higgins, let's be honest, has been somewhat of a disappointment this year. Only 2 double-digit fantasy point games over the course of his last 7 games. Those aren't good odds there. We're not looking very good there. And then, of course, the matchup against the Pittsburgh Steelers defense that has looked better of late. Joe Hayden being out today is going to change a little bit for that Steelers secondary. I like the Bengals passing attack today, but that more is a indication of I like Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase to have a great game today. And I think you're going to look at a situation where it's T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd kind of feeding off the scraps to a degree there. So for you, Garrett, in your situation, we're going to go with Javonte Williams here. Give him a slight edge. I think he has a better chance where he will reach a double-digit fantasy day for you today. The only hope with Javonte Williams is that let's hope he can get in the end zone today, because I think there's a good chance that you'll see both Gordon and Williams getting it in the end zone today with that matchup today. So that's what I'm looking at for Garrett there. So Colby Colston needing to know 4-point PPR. Logan Thomas, who is by all indications making his way back today. Logan Thomas or Tyler Conklin. Yes, Thomas possibly on a pitch count. We've kind of seen some rumblings of that over the course of the last day. But when it comes to Conklin or Thomas, I think I'm going to give a little bit of the edge to Conklin in this scenario. He's been a little bit more involved in recent weeks. So that's been something to look at. But it's a bad matchup on the road with San Francisco. That's the other kind of caveat here. Double-digit points for Conklin once in just the last 7 games for himself as well, and that was that 2-touchdown game in Week 10. Targets have been very steady for Conklin. Catches have been fairly steady for him there as well. But when it boils down to it, it comes down to, I mean, you're looking at a situation where if the tight end doesn't get in the end zone, it's kind of a disappointing week. So looking at the numbers here, Seattle's defense has given up 17.4 points to tight ends over the course of the last 4 games. That is a solid clip there, whereas San Francisco only giving up 9.28. I think this is a situation where I think we're going to go with Logan Thomas, even on a snap count potentially. I think things are going to line up a little bit more for Thomas. First game back, they're going to make a point to kind of get him the ball on the snaps that he is on the field. I feel a little bit better about getting Logan Thomas into your lineup over Conklin today based on the matchup. So, Colby, let's go with Logan Thomas, even with a pitch count. I think he'll be the better play for you today. So that's the move we're going to make. So lock in Logan Thomas there for Colby. Moving on to Andrea, looking to need an A.J. Dillon or Darrell Henderson PPR today. I am under the impression that Aaron Jones is not going to play, and that's kind of reflected in my rankings. I've got him well down the board. I've got A.J. Dillon as kind of more of a top 15 play today, and I do have Darrell Henderson ranked just behind A.J. Dillon in rankings today. So, Andrea, that's what I'm going to go with there. I'm going to go with A.J. Dillon under the assumption that Aaron Jones will not be playing today. The Packers have a bye week next week, week 13. We've seen it before where they've been a little bit conservative with their players. Yes, Aaron Jones has put in limited practice sessions throughout the week. So I'm not liking too much his odds. And then we've looked at also too with Darrell Henderson. Snap count's been lowering each and every week over the course of the last 4 to 5 games. That's really concerning with Darrell Henderson. Obviously, tough matchup. He's going on the road to play the Packers, and the Packers, of course, are at home against the Los Angeles Rams. You're looking at a tough situation with either of these two plays here. I believe Green Bay Packers are going to be without 3 of their starting 5 offensive linemen today. Aaron Rodgers limited with the toe, which leads me to believe that they're going to want to run the ball a little bit more today. So, Andrea, that's where I'm actually going to give a little bit more of a lean towards A.J. Dillon there, and that's what we're going to go with. So, lock in A.J. Dillon. And as we finish up one question there, now we will bring in co-host Nick Heffley live from Denver, Colorado, coming in to help out you guys this last little bit. He's feeling good.
It's been a good start to the fantasy week already, B.
Yeah, not really.
Time to continue this bad boy. Let's go.
It's not been a good start to the fantasy week.
It's been a great week. Great
no,
week.
Not a great week if you have DeAndre Swift or David Montgomery, as those are 2 that we talked about to start the show here.
Yeah, been a great week, B. Been a great week. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. As you can tell by his sense of good nature, we're playing each other in 2 of our leagues this week.
That's right.
So he's got the edge as we get into Sunday action.
If Dalton Schultz would have just kept his tail out of the end zone, I'd be doing even better.
Yeah, well, I did mention he should have been in there twice. Had one called back
He should have been.
Spoiler alert, penalties against the Cowboys.
Hey, how about this, B? Have Mike McCarthy coach his team better to not have all these penalties. Oh, we got so many penalties. It was funny though. We're sitting.
It was egregious.
We're sitting and we're watching that football game with my brother-in-law who doesn't watch that much football, and literally the words out of his mouth were, "Man, there's like a penalty on every 3rd play." I'm like, I know. He's like, "Does that happen that often?" I'm like, "No, not really."
Yeah, no. That was the most that was the most penalized game in the NFL since 1990. And
coach your team better.
Well, I mean, it goes both ways. The Raiders are penalized just as much. I think they had 14 penalties in that game, but their penalties were not in such horribly timed situations as it was for the Cowboys in that game. So, anyways, I digress. We're not dwelling on what should have been a win for the Cowboys on Thursday. We're moving on, and we're helping fantasy managers get their wins today.
Let's go.
Yeah, that's so right. We'll get back into good stopping point here, though, as we bring in Nick into the show. As of course, keep the questions rolling in here. The Rotoballer YouTube page, Roto Superstar Twitter account, and Rotoballer Twitter account. Like and share and subscribe here as well while you're here. But getting back into the questions, Irv Gotti needing to start 2. Kareem Hunt, first game back. Devontae Freeman, Jalen Waddle, full point PPR. I will let you lead off with this question, sir.
Yo, Gotti. We're not starting Hunt on his first week back. I know that much. I think they're going to ease him in a little bit. So Even if they don't, I mean, he's 50-50 at best. Freeman's going to get a lot of the work. Waddle is still the man there in Miami. Granted, they're going to get some pretty tough pass D in Carolina there, but I just don't really see it to where Hunt's going to outperform either of these guys. So give me Freeman and Waddle.
No, I think it's close between Hunt and Freeman myself. I've got them very close in the rankings, but I think between those two, I think I agree with you. I'll probably go with Freeman at home in a matchup against the Browns, whereas the Browns were on the road against Baltimore. We had a question just a few minutes ago where I was starting Kareem Hunt. The opposing player that we were looking at was Deontay Foreman, though, in that situation. That call I went with Hunt.
Yeah, I mean, I would probably go Hunt. I think Hilliard's going to be a little bit more of the man in there. He's at least shown a little bit more. Granted, we don't know what the hell the Titans are doing at running back. Every time we think we know since Derrick Henry's gone out,
exactly,
they've done something different. So,
Jeremy McNichols is also inactive again today. So it's really just Deontay Foreman and Dontrell Hilliard. So
right. Yeah, no, I think if I could pick up Hilliard and start him in some leagues, which I did pick him up, he's not starting in most of mine. I just need to see what's going on. I got better pieces in front. I think in that scenario, I think Hunt's going to have a little bit more of a share, a known share anyway, catching passes as long as it's a PPR for me.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a tough situation. Like I mentioned, I think that Patriots defense is absolutely shutting down Ryan Tannehill and that Titans offense today. It's too many negatives there.
But it feels really weird. I mean, this could easily, when Ryan Tannehill had one of these games earlier in the year to where you're like, who the hell is he going to throw the ball to? He had a great game. He put it. It was like it kind of reminded me of the old school Russell Wilson games where he would just have to put it all on his shoulders and. Yeah, I mean, it just feels like the kind of week that Tannehill's going to actually do something. I've got him in a FanDuel lineup.
You would think.
I don't know why, but
you would think. But I'm riding that hot streak with that Patriots defense that they've been on the course of the last month. I mean, you cannot put points up against that team here lately. So that's what I'm looking at there. But going Ronald Keys here, needing to know Cam Newton, who's all of a sudden a marvel in the fantasy football world again, or Matt Stafford. We've heard the report this morning. Stafford's playing with an absolute gunshot of an arm right now, chronic injury that he's dealing with every single day. So that's good information to put out there for fantasy managers to hear on a Sunday morning. Cam Newton, Matthew Stafford, who you got?
Ooh, it's a tough call. Stafford has been not good over the last couple of weeks. When you're taking a look and he's going up against the number one defense against wide receivers in the league in the Green Bay Packers. I do feel like it's a CMC game today, so I don't know necessarily that either of these options are really good, for me, but I'm going to go Cam Newton.
Yeah, so I'm going Cam Newton. I feel comfortable.
It just feels so nasty to say. Ugh.
It does, based on what we were seeing out of him. Like last year with the Patriots, it just looked like a player that was absolutely shot. But he's just caught like some new life going back to Carolina. That's a good matchup for them today as well. So I like it. I like Cam in that matchup as opposed to Stafford going on the road to Green Bay. Green Bay usually plays Stafford tough going back to his days with the Detroit Lions too. So that's where I'm leaning more Cam here for Ronald Keys.
I mean, Stafford's just trending low. I mean, he's just not been good over the last 2-3 weeks.
No, he hasn't been.
So, yeah, I mean, not that Cam is setting the world on fire, but I feel he's just got that much of a floor right now, especially with some of the rushing ability. Yeah.
True. Yeah, I like it. I like for Cam to get in the end zone again today, though. That's the thing as far as getting a rushing touchdown.
He's 8,000. He's the number 3 quarterback on FanDuel this week, B.
Who, Cam?
Yeah.
Sounds about right. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, sounds about right based on the matchup. I
figured he'd be like 7,000, not the number 3 quarterback in this slate. That's crazy talk.
Man, but you have to look at the slate in general, too. You've already, you've gotten Josh Allen. You already off the board. You've got Dak Prescott off the board. You've got Patrick Mahomes is on bye this week. I mean, there's other factors that are coming into play there with that. So
there is, you and I were talking.
Lamar Jackson on the Sunday night slate is another thing.
But I mean, the guy I'm looking at, I don't like a lot of these matchups for some of these quarterbacks. But the one guy I do like that seems to be a little lower down, who I would definitely recommend going and grabbing in some of your lineups this week, Jimmy Garoppolo is 6,500 and has been pretty damn consistent over the last however many weeks. I mean, he would be somebody I would go and potentially look to pick up in some leagues, and depending on your matchup, potentially start today.
Yeah, but I'll preface that by saying I've got him in some FanDuel lineups. So, let's get him out of there.
Here we go.
He was in my Booms and Bust article on rotoballer.com this week. Jimmy Garoppolo was in some FanDuel lineups for me. So,
ladies and gentlemen, go and disregard what I just said.
Get him out of there. He's set for a 3 interception, 1 touchdown game today. You're welcome. And the 1 touchdown is going to be a long play to Deebo Samuel. I apologize on the front end for that. Go ahead. So here we go. Look, Pistol Pete. Yeah, the referees were against us. Damn skippy they were. Pistol Pete. I appreciate that.
Crying in the river.
They were dead set against us. Yeah. Here we go. New life need to know. How about a sleeper defense? Need a good one today. We missed your kicker question already, by the way.
Oh, okay. Well, what's the kicker question?
Your kicker question we had earlier was between. Gosh, let me go back up to find it. It was Jake Elliott or Badgley or Boswell today.
Ooh, we're gonna go Badgley. Kicking right here in Denver where the air is thin. We're gonna go with Badgley.
You did not go the direction I went.
Actually, no, sorry. What am I talking about? Badgley's not with the Chargers anymore. He's with the Colts. I'm still going Badgley though.
No, you went the opposite direction as me anyways. I went Jake Elliott. Like I mentioned.
I can see that. I just think they're going to get touchdowns versus field goals this week. So
yeah, I mean, like I mentioned with Elliott, he's been 14 points or more in 3 of the last 4. So he's trending in the right direction. That's where I went with him. So sleeper defense, though, for New Life here.
I've got the Eagles D and quite a few FanDuels. I mean, the Jags D looks pretty good. I mean, at home, they've been – over the last couple of weeks, they've been doing quite a bit better, and the Falcons just suck that bad. So I would say potentially get one of those two.
Yeah, I think another one to look at if you're really kind of wanting to dig a little bit deeper today is Cincinnati Bengals home against the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think they're 3,300 on FanDuel. So the Bengals were one of the more popular picks for me in some FanDuel lineups that we're setting up today. So. There's a good chance that they get, quite a number of sacks on Big Ben today, who's that statue in the pocket, and possibly a chance at a couple of turnovers there. Points against, though, I think you're not going to look at anything where they're going to keep the Steelers under 10 points or anything like that. So you're hoping for, turnovers and sacks with a play like the Bengals. But you mentioned the Eagles. I think the Eagles are getting to a point to where they're rostered in most leagues, and if they're not, I think that would be the play for me, as if the Eagles were available. That's what I would be looking at.
Yeah, I definitely went and picked up the Jags, and that was kind of my streamer D. I've got the Rams in a lot of leagues. I just don't see them having a very good week in Green Bay here and getting a lot unless COVID-2 strikes and they get a lot of sacks there. But
COVID toe. That's what Aaron Rodgers is struggling with today in that matchup. COVID toe. Paul need to know he's start Miles Sanders or AJ Dillon today. Full point PPR.
This is I traded for him in a league this week, and we are absolutely going to go with Miles Sanders. He's got to have one good game this year, right? And it looks like Aaron Jones is going to be playing from everything that we're seeing out there. I don't know how effective he's going to be.
I don't think he's playing. I just mentioned that a few minutes ago.
Yeah, I mean, even if he doesn't play, I still like Miles Sanders. I feel like it's the kind of game. I mean, the Rams' run D is pretty tough, so I'm going to go with Miles Sanders.
Yeah, and I mentioned that there's an issue there a little bit with the Green Bay Packers offensive line too, and Mr. COVID toe Aaron Rodgers. There's a good chance that they're going to try to run the ball a little bit more today, so. That's a good indication, but let's go back to last week. Miles Sanders, 16 carries, 94 yards. He brought him back, and they continued to try to run the ball. That was something that I wanted to keep an eye on with Miles Sanders, because once he got injured and left, that was a situation where they decided, hey, we're going to run the ball nonstop.
Maybe that's how we can
Jordan Howard, Boston Scott. They were not doing that with Miles Sanders earlier in the year, but they continued to do that. That was the game plan last week. So, yeah, I'm going to start Miles Sanders too there, Paul. I think he's going to get more of that guaranteed workload today. Matchup's a little bit better also. So I like Miles Sanders between the two. I think he has a chance to get into the in the end zone as well. So looking at that. So Colby wanting to know, popping back in, Tyler Lockett or Brandon Ayuk?
Were we ever both wrong on Brandon Ayuk last week?
Yes. You're welcome.
Yeah.
I started him in some FanDuel lineups.
Good call. Yeah. I mean the Seahawks D at home. I mean, I don't know that I necessarily like Lockett, but I don't necessarily like Ayuk either. But I think of the two, I think I'm going to go Ayuk this week.
Yeah, I think I'm going to lean Ayuk too. It's a good matchup for them against the Minnesota Vikings. That secondary is a little bit up and down and inconsistent. Mm-hmm. And like we mentioned, Jimmy Garoppolo is playing solid the last few weeks. Should continue the strong play today, whereas Tyler Lockett likes to pull the invisible man trick every once in a while. He'll show up out of nowhere for a nice 2-touchdown week, but then he goes back into hiding and to not be seen again for another 2 to 3 weeks. So I think we're looking at their Brandon Ayuk as the play there. I think this is going to be more of a get-right game for DK Metcalf if you're looking at a Seahawk player to play.
Boy, I hope so.
That's what we're looking at there. And the question I've been waiting on, and I was hoping that you were going to be here once this popped into the queue.
Oh, okay.
Our buddy, Saban's Burner, he was just wanting to know. He doesn't have a question today. Just all he has to say is Georgia's going to absolutely steamroll us. I bet Saban lost tons of weight with sweat in that game last night. It was just an absolute stunner for 3.5 quarters until Alabama decided, oh, wait a second. We still got a shot to go to the college football playoff. Let's get back into this game. I'm at a family get-together last night for Thanksgiving. The one Alabama fan in the family couldn't even watch the game. Yeah. Couldn't even watch the game. Walking in and out of the room, goes to another room, couldn't even watch the game. So, Saban, I feel for you, man. That team is the SEC's version of Oklahoma right now.
Brandon and I were talking about this yesterday. The new I didn't realize college football overtime had changed their rules up. What a horrible thing to be able to play a game for that long, and then you're fighting back on just alternating 2-point conversions. One play, that's it. I don't get that.
Yeah, it's an absolute atrocity of a playoff rule that they've instituted this year. So worked out well for those Crimson Tide in that game. Luckily for Saban's Burner there last night, our good friend of the show, worked out well for Alabama. They're still in the college football playoff. And I'll mention it. I've been saying for like the last 2 weeks to some of the friends at work, things like that are Alabama fans. I think Alabama beats Georgia just to ensure that Georgia and Alabama are both in the college football playoff because, college football being college football, I think that there's going to be something done there to make sure that Alabama's in the Final Four. Just a personal call.
Good luck.
Yeah, so we'll get back into these questions here. So keep them rolling in to the Rotoballer YouTube page here. Like, share, subscribe as well. The Luminaries, nice one there. Got Javonte Williams or Kareem Hunt today. I think that's an easy Javonte answer there.
You're asking the wrong people if you want any other opinion other than Javonte.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I mentioned it just a few minutes ago before you popped into the show. I guess Javonte, he's being talked up as the breakout week finally yet again. It's still going to be Melvin Gordon today. It's that revenge game. I still think Melvin Gordon's going to lead the backfield, and I think Melvin Gordon gets in the end zone too. But I think Javonte Williams also gets in the end zone and kind of breaks that touchdown-less streak that he's been on for a number of weeks, though.
And he should have scored. He should have had 2 scores the other week here. So yep. I mean, he found the end zone. There was just that was a stupid holding call, whatever. But
yeah,
but no, I mean he's looked good. So I feel like I'm just feeling Javonte is going to have one of those second halves, especially during fantasy playoff time, that's really going to vault him. And I think you're going to see Javonte Williams, mark my words, he is going to be a fringe first-round pick headed into drafts next year.
Oh, gosh, no, I ain't going to go that far yet. I think he's mid-second, and is what we're looking at. It has all the talent in the world to be, kind of in the mold of a Jonathan Taylor, be that difference maker running back. But, let's get rid of Melvin Gordon out of that backfield.
Oh yeah,
that's the only thing we're looking at there.
He gone.
Birdie wanting to know, getting into another question here. Brandon Ayuk or Elijah Moore today? Oh gosh,
go ahead, B.
Oh, my heart. Oh man, no, I'm going Elijah Moore without a doubt, with a bullet. They're close in my rankings. I will readily admit that, but I do like Elijah Moore today, especially with Corey Davis out of the lineup for the New York Jets today.
Yeah, I mean, I am. I'll say this, and I'm going Elijah Moore. Zach Wilson has not necessarily looked Elijah Moore's direction with a lot of these things going on. So I'm tempted in this regard to go Ayuk, but I mean, just the way that Elijah Moore's been doing over the last couple of weeks. I mean, the game he had last week, crazy. There's no way I'm going to bitch Elijah Moore right now. Whereas Elijah Moore is the number one option in that passing offense. Ayuk is probably the number 3. Yeah, I'm going with Elijah Moore.
Yeah. I think you kind of we're riding that hot hand despite the who knows what the chemistry is between Zach Wilson and Elijah Moore going in. We're going to ride the hot hand. Lady Logan needing to know, we're going to flex Michael Pittman today, or are we flexing Javonte Williams today?
Ooh, I was going to say my brother-in-law that's up, future brother-in-law that's upstairs has a very similar question: Pittman, Javonte Williams, or Lockett. I'm going to go Pittman in this case.
Yeah, bingo.
I feel like especially, and I'm assuming if it's standard, I'm going to go Javonte, but PPR, I'm absolutely going Pittman. I feel like they're going to be down. I feel like they're going to be needing to chuck. Yep. We're gonna go with Pittman here.
Yeah, I've got Pittman as a fringe wide receiver 1 this week with that matchup. We know that Jonathan Taylor is matchup proof. They're still going to run the ball in that matchup, but the way to get to Tampa Bay and to get points on the board is really through that secondary. So I think Michael Pittman's the type of player that's going to be able to kind of thrive in that matchup today. So yeah, we're in agreement there, Lady Logan. Plug in Pittman and get him in your lineup today. Perry Williams getting into more questions. We're looking at RB2s here and looking Tevin Coleman, Ramondre Stevenson, Boston Scott at RB2 today. Yikes. I'm a I will go ahead and say that. Yikes at RB2 today. Robbie Gould or Jake Elliott? Kicker question.
Oh, we absolutely do kickers, Perry. We absolutely do kickers.
We got a kicker question.
I do kickers anyway.
I'll tell you what, we've doubled our kicker output and content the last few weeks.
We're gonna be the podcast. We're gonna be the destination podcast. You have a kicker question.
That's true. Yeah, Fresh Legs starring Nick Heffley. That's gonna be the podcast coming out. Fresh Legs. So let's look at the question here. We've got multiple phases of this question here.
Ooh,
starting Pitts or Goddard. I'm gonna go Goddard there.
And a shocker. I'm gonna go Goddard. Yeah,
I'm gonna go Goddard there. Pitts has been a guy that's struggling, the last few weeks, as most of that coverage has been rolled over to him. Pitts is actually in my bust portion of my booms and bust articles at rotoballer.com this week. So I do like Goddard there. We're in agreement. We'll backtrack here. We'll work through the kicker real quick. Robbie Gould or Jake Elliott for you?
I am going to be. I think this is actually fairly close. I'm going to go just because I think the offense is going to have a little bit of stall action. I'm going to go with Elliott. Here, I think the Niners are going to be scoring more touchdowns. I think we're going to have some stall drives with the Eagles. So we're going to go with Jake Elliott.
Yeah, that's what I think. I'm going to lean that way too. Just going back to previous statements, Elliott with the point totals that he's put up over the last month. I like this steady pace that he's been on. So, yeah, we're going to go with Elliott there. Now let's go to that RB2 situation here that is just absolutely gross. You got Tevin Coleman, you got Ramondre Stevenson, you got Boston Scott, and no Jordan Howard today for the Philadelphia Eagles, but Miles Sanders took a load of that work last week. Stevenson looking good, comes in banged up. He and Harris are both playing with injuries. Tevin Coleman now the RB2 back behind Ty Johnson for the New York Jets with Michael Carter on IR.
I mean, can you go pick up Dontrell Hilliard?
Yeah, right.
Because that's what I would do. Out of these guys, I think, are we assuming PPR here? So, this is a tough call. I think I would probably go Stevenson.
Yeah, I think that's the way I'm going to lean to. Just for the situation with it being the Belichick backfield, he likes to switch out guys a little bit back and forth. Like I mentioned, they're both a little bit banged up. There might be a situation where you see Stevenson kind of get a little bit hot at some point during the game and stay in the fold. I think Stevenson probably has a chance to crack the end zone, where I don't like either of the other two options today. Well, I will say this, though. It wouldn't shock me with the Jets coaching staff that Tevin Coleman takes most of the running game portion of that backfield today and Ty Johnson be the pass catching back that situation.
I can see that.
Yeah, it would not shock me, but I'm not going to count on it. That's where I'm going to still slide with Stevenson there too. So Joe B, our good friend here, Joe B, coming back in for another Sunday. Need to know he's got Kamara out. He's hurting in the backfield. Burkhead or DJ Dallas, also Flex Bourne or MVS or Donovan Peoples-Jones. He needs points bad.
Need them bad.
Need them bad. Must have had a bad Thanksgiving day. I like Burkhead at the running back position.
I absolutely like Burkhead. They've been kind of featuring him a little bit more here lately.
18 carries last week. 40 yards though was a little discouraging, but they gave him the workload. It's a better matchup this week. The Jets give up tons of points to opposing running backs for fantasy purposes.
Who's DPS?
Donovan. Well, no, I would say Donovan Peoples-Jones DPS.
That's what I'm thinking too.
Joe, let's jump back in there real quick. We think that's Donovan Peoples-Jones.
We'll assume that it is there.
Yeah.
If it is, that's the direction I'm going. Is Donovan Peoples-Jones because Jarvis Landry is a little banged up here. Bourne would actually be my call even over MVS. But I think Donovan Peoples-Jones would probably be my call along with Burkhead. Hilliard would be the other call too at running back. I mean, I would probably throw him in there, especially he got some receptions this last week. I would definitely go that direction.
It could be a situation too. We're talking about flex here with these players in the secondary part of this question. Hilliard could be a player to go pop into the flex position over these other three that we're looking at. But between those, I think I like Bourne more than I do like the other two options. Bourne's been somewhat steady for the Patriots offense the last few weeks, so that's kind of what I'm looking at there. So Joe, we both agree on Burkhead, but I think we're at a little bit of an impasse between here. Kendrick Bourne, he likes the Donovan Peoples-Jones a little bit more there also. So
everybody says Brola Brandon.
Yeah, let's go, Brandon.
This is the other B in my life with the Broncos fans. If you have mortgage needs, he works with Fairway Mortgage. He can get you a good deal in Colorado or Georgia. So
there you go.
And expanding out to other states. So
there you go. Let's plug some mortgages this morning on the.
We'll get on to be the title sponsor of the Woo Fantasy Podcast.
There you go. Yes, works for me. So we'll get back into our questions here. Splashy Mall. Need to know Ty Johnson or Javonte Williams, full point PPR. I think we're both saying Javonte there, correct?
Yeah, I mean, I do like Ty Johnson a little bit this week, but
I do.
You're gonna be hard to get this podcast away from not putting Javonte Williams in.
Yeah, against most options, it's going to be hard for us to shy away from Javonte Williams. Although in my our big high stakes league, the SBFFC, he is not in my lineup today. I had a chance to put him in as one of the two flex options. Went with Michael Gallup, and today I'm going Elijah Moore in the other flex position.
You put Michael Gallup in your flex?
Yeah. Well, Mike Evans and Deontay Johnson are my top two wide receivers.
It's a rookie move.
So
Thursday receiver in a flex spot.
Well, I'm obviously not moving Deontay Johnson or Mike Evans out of either one of the spots.
He could get hurt or get COVID, and then you got him stuck. See, rookie
not pulling that at all. Yeah, whatever. I'm not going that direction.
He could get COVID though.
But my lineup was set. It's good. We're good either way. So, Alfonso need to know Nelson Aguilar or DeAndre Carter, a favorite of Mr. Nick Heffley the last few weeks.
He's been scoring some touchdowns. I'm going to go
half point PPR.
That's a deep league.
Yes, very much.
I think we're going to have the Patriots are going to have a lot of groundwork here this week. So I think they're going to be chucking the ball. So we're going to go with Mr. Kata.
Yeah, I think I'm going to slightly agree. Although I do like Aguilar to a point. I like Aguilar. He's kind of been in the same boat with Kendrick Bourne over the last few weeks. They're kind of getting some steady looks, and Aguilar getting in the end zone last week. So it's close. But I do like DeAndre Carter. That matchup against the Seahawks, it's a little bit better. But the only disconcerting thing for me there with Carter this week is when you mentioned at the top of the show, Logan Thomas making his way back today in the lineup on probably a snap count. But that's going to be a chance that you're going to see some targets coming away. But for me, it's slight advantage for Carter here for Alfonso. So that's what we're going to go with. Plug him in and get him in there and ready to go. So, getting in the last 15 minutes here before kickoff. So let's kind of fire away here to these last few questions here. Try to do kind of more like rapid fire lightning round.
I'm in the mountain time zone. And it feels weird that kickoff is at 11 a.m. I feel like
right
or something like that, like having breakfast football kickoffs.
It should feel weird, but it's a kind of a good experience too. Like I'd like to be on the West Coast over there where it's football all day long. I mean, it's 10 a.m.
where you're at anyway.
Yeah, but still, too, you get over here, then you're going to it's Sunday night kickoff. The Sunday night game ends at like 11 o'clock, so you're going to bed and then getting ready for work the next day. But if you're on the West Coast, the game ends at like
I don't even make it to the end of the game half the time.
That's true. That's what we have our JJ Zacharias, and he coined the phrase of East Coast dads having a rough time with a lot of these games each week. Sunday night football and Monday night football.
I need to join that group.
Oh man, yeah. So no, West Coast, Sunday night football game is probably going to end at like 7:30, 8 o'clock. I'd love that myself personally, but
well, yeah, I like the starts better on the Central and East, but definitely, yeah, toward the end of the day, absolutely, give me West and Mountain all day long.
True. So here we go. We'll try to do a little more kind of like lightning round to wrap up the show here. So we got Perry Williams. If Mitchell plays today, is he a safe starter? Is he going to be very limited? I think he's good to go. I think I'm playing Mitchell.
Yeah,
in that backfield. Good matchup. Should be able to play, be a solid play today. So, yeah, Perry, I think we're both confident in Elijah Mitchell there. Aaron needing to know Noah Fant, Dan Arnold, 10-point PPR? No, that can't be right. 1-point PPR has to be.
10-point PPR. Ooh. Got some heavy scoring there.
Yes, exactly.
What do you think? What do you think, B? We're going with the Broncos guy? Yeah, we're going with Noah Fant. Dan, I don't really know what Dan Arnold had that chemistry with Sam Darnold. He hasn't really shown that just yet, even though we know Cam Newton likes throwing to the tight ends, but I think we're going Fant. Fant seems to do well. Interdivision, we're going Noah Fant.
Buddy, Dan Arnold's with the Jaguars now. You got mixed up there.
Damn it.
Dan Arnold, who has been solid in recent weeks, but threw up a goose egg against the 49ers last week. Goes no targets, no receptions. But prior to that, he had 25 targets over a 3-game stretch.
I'm still going Fant.
Yeah, I've got Fant. Fant's the higher rated guy for me today. So I do agree. I think I like Fant there in that situation. So yeah, Aaron, we're both going to go with Fant there in that situation there for you. Joe did chime back in and say that was Donovan Peoples-Jones. So we were right in our assumption there. And Tyler coming back in, loving the kicker questions today. Coming in, need to know Young Wei Koo.
No, it's
Jake Elliott.
On this podcast, it's always Young Ho.
Yes.
But we're going Jake Elliott. I don't even know if the Falcons are going to make a pass at 50-yard line today, so we're going to go Jake Elliott.
Yeah, we're going to both go with Elliott there. So easily, that's the question there. And Devontae Freeman or Mike Williams today? Got to be Mike Williams between he and Devontae Freeman, I would think, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, even though it's a tough matchup for Williams on the road against the Broncos defense, yeah, it's an easy answer there for Mike Williams. Joe B did pop in and say Hilliard was gone, so Bourne DPJ was the decision to make, and that was our coin flip.
Yeah, you got a split room here.
Yeah, that's a split situation. I mean, I like Donovan Peoples-Jones. He's been kind of my sleeper going back to the offseason, but the guy's been inconsistent from a target standpoint. He gets those long looks, and he gets into the end zone with a long look occasionally, but Kendrick Bourne's just been kind of more of that steady, consistent target guy for the New England Patriots for me.
Yeah, and I think again, it depends on what you need. If you need to hit that home run, if you're facing somebody that scored a lot of points, I think Peoples-Jones is going to be that guy. I mean, Bourne's going to be that consistent. Hey, I'm going to go out and get you 8 to 10 points. So if you need consistency, go Bourne. For me, if you need that home run, I think you go Peoples-Jones.
Yeah, that's what I would agree there as well. How we're looking at that is kind of more what you need, what's a home run play, as opposed to a kind of steady type of play between those two. So that's where we're at with the questions today. We got another 9 minutes before kickoff. So unless we got any last minute questions popping in, we'll kind of put a wrap on the show here, get things finished up and ready to go, put a bow on things. Week 12 fantasy football action. We're getting into this last week or two before the fantasy playoffs start. So what's a key thing to keep in mind for you as you need to tell the fantasy managers out there in the Woo Nation?
I mean, I'm getting myself set up for the playoffs. I mean, look at playoff matchups, see what you got out there, get yourself prepared. I think this is Brandon and I were talking about this earlier in the week, and I completely disagree with what he says on this subject. You need to be trading quantity for quality right now. If you've got some depth, you need to be trading that depth off if you can, if your trade deadline hasn't passed. Having 2 really good quarterbacks on your team is not going to help you come fantasy playoff time unless you're playing, the matchups here. So time to trade those guys off and better yourself and go get those guys that have some good matchups here. So
yeah, obviously, yeah, you need to set your starting lineup and get them ready to go. Depth is not a concern at this point in time because if you lose one of your key contributors out of your starting lineup, more than often than not, you're kind of shot in the foot anyways, and your season's done at that point in time. So definitely a good point there. Obviously, a good thing to look at. To keep in mind as we get into these last couple weeks before the fantasy playoffs start. We'll get into the last couple of questions here, and then we'll put it in a wrap mode. So Perry need to know just to re-emphasize Dontrell Hilliard, Ramondre Stevenson, Elijah Mitchell for the RB2.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything out there where Mitchell's gonna miss. So. No. Yeah, I think I'm going that direction. With confidence. If you're just worried about it, I would go Hilliard over Stevenson's. I think he's going to get a little bit more of the work, but I'm going Mitchell.
Yeah, that's what I think too. I've not seen anything. It's like Adam Schefter put out last night, listed as questionable, but is expected to play against the Vikings. Nothing I'm really seeing. The only kind of thing to keep in mind, I think the report that's kind of had some people a little bit questioned throughout the week is that he's had to focus on carrying the ball with the opposite hand in practice this week, where he's kind of typically been the guy that's carried it in the hand with the broken finger. I think some people were kind of put off a little bit by that, but that doesn't concern me. I'm still going to go with Mitchell there. I think he's going to play, and I think he plays solid in that matchup against Minnesota. So, Perry, don't worry. Let's plug in Mitchell there. I think you're going to be good to go. And then Andrea coming back in, needing to reemphasize, needing to know Matt Stafford, Russell Wilson. I'm going Russell Wilson. That's going to be my answer between the two.
Yeah.
I think
that's no run game.
Well. Yeah. Yeah, no run game at all to speak of. Defense has been solid. I think that's going to be a situation, like I mentioned earlier, I think is a good get-right game for DK Metcalf. I think Russell Wilson and Metcalf getting in the end zone at least once in that game today. Rashad, you got Rashad Penny's out. Alex Collins banged up. Now you got DJ Dallas as a potential pickup and play today, even though I probably would not pull the trigger there. So don't like that one. But yeah, that's the last of our questions rolled into the queue here. 5 minutes before kickoff. Thank you to everyone that's come into the show today. We appreciate all the questions. Definitely hope to help you out and get some wins out there in week 12, get you in line to get into the playoffs and have a shot to get out there and get those titles here in 2021 fantasy football season championship. So that'll do it today. Go to rotoballer.com/radio, sign up for the premium pass. Also Woo Fantasy promo code to get that extra discount at checkout. Don't forget to do that. As you get into these final weeks of the season here, we'll get you lined up and ready to go there as well. So other than that, man, you got any final words as we head into the kickoff today?
Man, just enjoy it. It still feels weird that next week should not be the last week of the regular season anymore for a lot of leagues here. So, no, like I said, just go out, play your matchups. Don't shit your studs this week. It's a good chance to be able to hopefully score some points. I see a lot of points getting scored out there this week. So
yeah, exactly. And we're looking at the 7-3 slate as far as the game times today for fantasy football and Sunday ticket action too. So 7-3, not a bad setup today. You're not going to be missing any action there. So we like that setup. So, but anyways, hope to see you guys next on the next episode of the Woo Fantasy Podcast. We'll see you next time.
Woo! Fantasy.